What's going on, people? Welcome along to AFC Game by Game, and in this video, following the aftermath of that defeat against Manchester United yesterday, which was a horrific result, and it's only emulated our awful start to the season, the worst start in about 30 odd years, I kind of wanted to discuss how Arsenal are going to go from here. Because if anything, it would seem that we've taken a step backwards. We're on 17 points this season, as opposed to the 31 that we were on at this point in the season last term. So I wanted to take a quick look at how we move forward from that result, from where we are now, and where I would expect us to be at the end of the season. So first of all, let's look at where things went wrong yesterday. Obviously, you can watch my match review on that. I'll actually leave that in the comments box below if you haven't seen that. But the fact that we weren't clinical enough was a real key element there, the really reoccurring theme throughout the course of the game. I mean, we're getting all in the right opportunities, etc., but there was no end product from Arsenal, which is so annoyingly predictable in every Arsenal game. Every Arsenal game, you know that there's going to be no clinical finish in that. And that's not to offend the likes of Danny Welbeck or Olivier Giroud, who actually did make a very clinical finish in the end of the game. Great goal coming from Giroud. But that's the only positive I can take from that. I mean, Danny Welbeck had some great opportunities to get a goal. Didn't take them when they came to him. The only real clinical finishes we've got in the team at the moment are Alexis Sanchez, and it pains me to say it, Luke Podolski, but he actually never makes the moves to get into the positions where the likes of Chamberlain and Sanchez would, because his movement he doesn't have any movement. But the loss as a whole is really bad, really hard to take. I've got to be honest, yesterday, in all my time supporting Arsenal, in all the games I've been to, that was, if I'm being brutally honest, one of the worst that I've ever been to, because it shouldn't have occurred. We lost. That is the best chance we're going to have at beating Man United in probably a decade or something like that. It's ridiculous how poor their lineup was. We should have beaten them last season when we went to Old Trafford. We should have beaten them today. That's one of the worst United sides I've ever seen Arsenal come up against. I mean, Blackett and McNair. Who has even heard of those players a year ago? We can't score against that until Giroud comes on in the dying stages of the game. No, that's not right. That's really not right, and that's where the real problem is for us. Like I said, not being clinical, but yesterday's just summed up where a lot of things have gone wrong for us this term, and the fact that this is our worst start under Wenger speaks a lot of volumes. I mean, obviously, if you watch Arsenal Fan TV and the people on there, I mean, you've got the likes of Claude, etc., calling for Wenger's head, and obviously, no one is going to openly say, apart from maybe that Thai guy who wears the headphones and has the Arsenal bottle and all the merchandise, he's the only real guy that is going to stand up and openly voice his opinion on Arsene Wenger and back him. Before I give my opinion on it, I did that Arsene Wenger in, Arsene Wenger out video a couple of weeks ago, so make sure to check that out, because I'm very on the fence about the whole Arsene Wenger outfit. I mean, I can look at both the positives and negatives of getting rid of him. First of all, if he was to leave, I would want someone like Guardiola, Klopp, or Simeone in place. They're the three people that I'd want to come into the club, because they're the only ones I really think can do a job. Roberto Martinez, he's an option, but he's not really got the experience of managing a top European outfit. So they're the three that I'd like to see come in, and I'd like them to be lined up before Wenger leaves. So you've got to assume that's not done. Wenger signed a 3-year contract, and the club won't sack him. Guarantee you, they will not sack him. The board won't have the bottle to sack him, purely because of what he's done for the club, and I don't think it's right that he's sacked. If he leaves Arsenal as a sacked manager, given that he's gone unbeaten with us, given the fact that he's got us this new stadium and got us 4th consecutively after having an almost invisible budget, then they won't sack him for that, because that's our business model. Getting top 4 is our business model at the moment, and that's what the board depend upon. The likes of Kroenke, Gazidis, they all depend on us getting top 4. If we weren't to get top 4, Arsenal as you know it would probably erupt. Arsenal as you know it. I mean, the Arsenal I know, the one that I've grown up, the one that I initially grew up with, because obviously I don't really know a style of football other than Arsene Wenger, because he took charge of Arsenal the summer in which I was born. So that's certainly a little interesting fact. But I mean, I only know Arsene Wenger football. The first part of my life where I watched Arsenal, and I'm seeing the likes of Bergkamp, Vieira, Ljungberg, Perez, Laurent, Ashley Cole at his peak, Sol Campbell, Dennis Bergkamp, like I already said. I mean, fantastic players and teams. After 2006, when we lost that Champions League final, it imploded for us so badly, and obviously losing Thierry Henry as well was another factor, and it went downhill from there. But that was mainly due to the fact that We had little budget and we were moving stadium. All that comes into account at some point. But he got us consecutive Champions League. And I mean, like I was saying, I'm not Wenger in. I'm not Wenger out either. I like to look at the positives as well as the negatives of having him at the club. And like I did say in the comment section of that video that I did the Wenger in Wenger out on, that I would do a follow up with 2 videos, which I've already recorded them, just a case of editing them up, which I will get around to at some point. But not dwelling on that. If we were to sack Wenger now, where would that leave us? Simeone, Klopp, they won't leave their respective clubs at this moment in time. They just won't, out of respect for their own clubs, and because they just won't. They're at good clubs. It is. Klopp is at Dortmund, again a top European outlet, even though they're not doing so well in the Bundesliga. Simeone doing well at Atletico Madrid. I mean, Guardiola, I can't see him realistically leaving Bayern for a good couple of years. So, I mean, it's an interesting one, really interesting one. But he won't leave. He won't get sacked. So I would expect Wenger to be here for at least another 2 years, which I know is going to come as some kind of disbelief to some people. But unless he steps down, I do think in an essence he should have gone after the FA Cup final. But then again, if he'd have gone, can you say we would have got someone like Alexis Sanchez in? Because Wenger is a big factor for a lot of players. He must have been a big factor for Mesut Ozil. He must have been a big factor for Alexis Sanchez because he's such a well-renowned name. People want to play for him, albeit that we don't play the best football at the moment. We don't get the results that we need. People know the name and they want to play for that guy, which is a big benefactor for us, a big factor. But I mean, what I really want to look at is how we move forward from this result. We've got Dortmund next in the Champions League. We're not going to win the Champions League. We've got the Premier League. We've got West Brom next, which is going to be a difficult away trip. But you've got to hope we can get something out of that game, which I'm saying, preview after preview. You know, it's my previews now. I'm just repeatedly saying, oh, we've got to go into this game and we've got to expect something out of it. What am I expecting out of it? What are my expectations? I think as Arsenal fans, we've got to really lower our expectation barrier as well. I mean, a lot of us expect us to be challenging for the title, which I expected us to going into the season, but I don't expect it anymore. I hate it when people say now that there's still a chance of us getting it. No, right off the league, because it's not going to happen. Chelsea won it. As well as that, the Champions League we're not going to win because we're just not strong enough to do it. Even if we reinforced in January, we still wouldn't have adequate depth to do it. And as well as that, the FA Cup, which would be great to retain, but the point of the FA Cup was it should have been a stepping stone for us to move on to greater things, which we're not. If anything, we've taken a step backwards. It is like the 2011-12 start to the season, where we're going to just be fighting it out for top 4, which it doesn't hold a great entertainment value. I mean, it did when we were taking it to the last game of the season and we were having to get wins against Newcastle and West Brom away. It's great at the time because we were under a limited budget, and that's what was crucial for us. It was the crucial element, but not now. When you bring in players like Mesut Ozil, Alexis Sanchez, you win the FA Cup. Should be going forward, not backwards. It's painful, absolutely painful to see that. Tactics have to change. Consistently playing Monreal at centre back. No, and then even if you don't do that, you've got to play Callum James and Hector Bellerin, who are both 19 years of age, and that's risky, and it's not. You shouldn't have to be in that situation. Although, yeah, arguably United are having to do that as well. Should have reinforced in summer. We should have done. We really should have reinforced in summer. I'd love to see Wenger put a bit more faith in Hector Bellerin as well. Players not stepping up as well. I mean, we can't all blame the manager. What's Ramsey done this season? Scored 2 goals against Palace and Everton. What else has he done this season? He's been dead quiet. He's not emulated the player he was at all last season. And I'm starting to think that maybe what he did last term was a fluke. I don't want to think that, but it's looking more and more like a reality. The defence has been shocking. Mertesacker has looked woeful this season. It's worrying. It really is worrying about what we're going to do this season, how we're going to progress. And I do think we'll get top 4. I do think we'll get top 4 soundly, comfortably, just purely for the fact that Liverpool look garbage. They lost a 3-1 to Palace today. Tottenham, I'm not too concerned about Tottenham. And United, if they continue to play in the fashion that they did yesterday, they're still a garbage outlet. Don't get me wrong on that. Even though we lost to them, they're still garbage. They've got one recurring tactic, like Mo said in his video. they hoofed the ball up to Fellaini, and they got a lucky break against us. I mean, their counter attack was class, but I mean, the first goal they scored was very, very fortunate. We were on top of them for the whole course of the game. We lost the game. We won it for United. That's how I see it. So obviously, it kind of feels like we've got nothing left to play for this Premier League campaign, which is the reality. All we've got left to play for is getting a top 4 finish, which is just what we do every season. So that's a nuisance. That's a real painful thing to see. And obviously, the call for Wenger's head is going to get more and more and more. If you look at his press conference as well, where he's saying, "I feel really sorry for the fans." Yeah, it's great, Arsene, but you got to wonder why they're so frustrated at a point. You got to change something. Everyone wants to change in the club. Everyone wants to change. I mean, personally, the change I want to see is Wenger avert his tactics. I want him to stop being so stubborn, because I know he's a fantastic manager. Not going to question that for one moment. But the only thing is, he's getting older. He's becoming more and more stubborn, it would seem. I just like to take on board what some of the fans say. I think dismissing what the likes of Paul Merson and other media pundits have said about him being tactically, it was all proved yesterday where the tactics went wrong for us, and how Louis van Gaal's tactics actually worked for him. It was proven to great effect, and he's got to take on board what other people are saying to him. It's like he's living in his own little world where, I can play Monreal at centre back. He's our second choice left back, but you know what? I'll play him there because in Arsene world, that's going to work out for us. He's got to change it. He's really got to change the setup of things, and I'm hoping at some point he'll see sense. If this loss isn't enough to make him see sense and change something, then I don't know what is. It can't get any worse from here. You've got to think it can only get better, but you can't trust this club. It could quite easily get worse. I mean, I don't want us to be in a Liverpool situation, but we shouldn't have to be. We've got funds, and we should be spending them wisely. You've got to say the transfers that they're progressively getting better and better and better, but we're not spending in the right areas. You could look at us and you say we've spent a lot this summer, which we have. We spent about 60 odd million. But it means nothing when we haven't spent it in the right areas. We've got too many creative players. We've got not enough defensive players. We're a midfielder short. We shouldn't be in this situation. We shouldn't be going into this Premier League campaign in that situation. We shouldn't be taking risks on the likes of Koscielny and Arteta, hoping that they stay fit and hoping that they continue to play in the same fashion that they have done in previous campaigns. Because as players get older, progressively, the reality is that they're only going to get worse. But anyway, that's been my real take on how we move forward from this. I mean, I'm not looking forward to the rest of this Premier League campaign at all. Not particularly looking forward to the rest of the Champions League as well, because I'm going out on false pretenses in the Champions League, because I don't think we'll win it. I think I'm kidding myself if I say that we can go out there and we can win the Champions League, given how things have gone for us this season. I think it's going to be very difficult for us to do that. Near impossible, in fact. I mean, the only thing I'm hoping for is that we retain the FA Cup. That's all we've got going for us this season, and getting a top 4 finish, which I would fully expect us to do, as we do it every season as per usual. Anyway, guys, those have been my thoughts on how we move forward. Leave your thoughts on whether you're Wenger in or Wenger out. That's the most important one I want to hear about, as well as how you think Arsenal will progressively move forward from the current situation that we're in. So, like I said, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching.